Hi everybody, in this video we're talking about how to treat osteoporosis. First, we'll go through what osteoporosis is, the 4 signs of osteoporosis, who is most at risk for osteoporosis, and 11 science-backed ways to help you fight osteoporosis. Welcome to the Health How-To channel, where we talk about some great life hacks and easy tips to achieve better health. Please subscribe and share your best tips that you have found to be great ways of living with osteoporosis in the comment section below. Pressing the like button will also help get the information to others. If you have someone in your life who you want to help, please share this video with them too. Now, what is osteoporosis? First, we should talk about what bone really is. Bone is a living tissue that has a hard outer shell and a honeycomb matrix inside. The thicker the shell and the smaller and denser the honeycomb matrix is, the healthier and stronger your bones are. We reach our peak bone mass, meaning the maximum amount of bones, in our 30s. Osteoporosis occurs when bone breakdown is occurring much faster than repair. The cells that make up our bodies, like our muscles, soft tissues, organs, and bone, are breaking down mostly during the day, and then the majority of the body's physical repair process occurs mostly at night when we are sleeping, ideally between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., then between 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., our psychological repair processes tend to dominate. That's the time when the brain works on cognitive processes like consolidating the day's events, pruning out irrelevant information, and storing important information. And kids, that's why pulling an all-nighter is not a good idea when it comes to a big exam. Here are 4 signs that you may have advanced osteoporosis. Number 1, a stooped posture. A stooped posture is when your upper back is more rounded, otherwise known as a hunchback with shoulders rounded forward. Number 2, bones that break or fracture easily. Healthy bones don't break after a little fall on ice or concrete. If your bone structure is weak, sometimes just the tiniest movement, like a sneeze, can cause a fracture, while other times it's from reaching, bending, or twisting the spine quickly or repetitively. Fragile bones that are especially vulnerable are the shoulder, wrist, hip, and spine. Here are some scary statistics. According to Osteoporosis Canada, less than 40% of people who break their hip will get back to their previous walking abilities. Even worse, 28% of women and 37% of men who have a hip fracture will die within the next year. Number 3. Back pain from a break or compression fracture in the spine. 66% of people can have a spinal fracture and not even know it has happened. An X-ray can help determine if you've had a fracture. If your X-ray shows that you've broken the spine, you are considered a high fracture risk, no matter what your bone mass density test says. 20% of people go on to have another spine fracture in the following year. Number 4, loss of height. After the age of 50, consider measuring your height every year to track the change. A loss of 3/4 of an inch could be an indication that you've had a fracture. What's the big deal about having osteoporosis? Well, it can make you feel frail and anxious, knowing that your bones can break so easily. And once your bone is broken, there can be chronic pain and a significant loss of independence and quality of life, especially if your spine or hip is affected. Who is at the highest risk for osteoporosis? Osteoporosis is most commonly found in white or Asian women who are post-menopause, but really, men and women of any age or background can get osteoporosis. In fact, men are less likely to be diagnosed with osteoporosis, but they're more likely to need to go to a long-term care facility or die after a hip fracture. Another risk factor for osteoporosis is if one of your parents had a hip fracture. If you're over 50 years old, your risk goes up. However, osteoporosis starts years before. When the first signs are bones breaking and shrinking height, you can see how far gone your bone health is. People with a small body frame are also at higher risk because there is less bone mass to begin with. Here's a time when it's actually good to have a little bit more weight on you. A low body weight of less than 132 pounds or 60 kilograms can be a risk factor for osteoporosis. Let's look at the big picture for overall health though. If you're short and small boned, then it makes sense to weigh less. Other people at higher risk include those with long-term use of certain medications, including steroids, hormone therapy, and antidepressants. People who have rheumatoid arthritis, people who have had more than 3 alcoholic drinks per day, and smokers. If you are over 65 years old, you are encouraged to have a bone mineral density test to see what your fracture risk is. This test, known as a BMD, is a painless x-ray that scans your spine or hip to determine the quality or density of your bone matrix. The higher quality or more dense the inside of your bone is, the better your bone health. The results will compare you to someone of a similar age to determine if you are losing more or less bone than what is expected for your age. Now, you may also have heard the term osteopenia. Osteopenia is the stage before osteoporosis. Osteopenia is when there is a decrease in the quality of bone mineral, while osteoporosis is a point where the bone has become so fragile it breaks easily. There are no signs of osteopenia, and it is typically first detected on a bone mineral density test. The good news is that if you've been diagnosed with osteopenia, you can use the same tips that we'll go through later to stop your bone from deteriorating further and maybe not have to rely on medication. So after all that, don't be discouraged. It's not too late. Here are 11 ways to help treat osteoporosis naturally. Number 1, be cautious with overdoing calcium. Despite what those dairy ads claim, the answer is not always to drink more milk or take extra calcium supplements. There can be some serious side effects to taking too much calcium, such as kidney stones, heart attacks, and prostate cancer. Talk to your doctor about your specific condition before taking any over-the-counter supplementation, even if it is labeled as all natural. That being said, some of the foods highest in calcium include cheese, yogurt, sardines, and canned salmon with the bones, dark leafy greens, and almonds. Number 2, get more vitamin K2. Vitamin K is a fat-soluble vitamin that helps with building bones. You can find vitamin K in high-fat dairy foods, fermented foods, and fatty cuts of animal meat. Number 3, get your vitamin D naturally. Go outside before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m. to expose yourself to sunlight. About 15 minutes outside should be sufficient for someone with light skin. People with darker skin and more melanin can't absorb vitamin D as readily and may need anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours, depending on how much skin pigment you have. As a comparison to how much more effective actual sunshine can be, research found that 30 minutes of midday summer sun in Norway provided 10,000 to 30,000 IU of vitamin D. The current recommendation is to have no more than 4,000 IU of vitamin D. Another benefit to getting your vitamin D with sunshine is that you don't get vitamin toxicity. Of course, in the winter, when there isn't as much daylight and you're covered up head to toe, you may have to turn to supplements and load up on vitamin D-rich foods. The 5 best natural sources of vitamin D are salmon, cod liver oil, tuna, sardines, and egg yolks. Number 4, stimulate bone growth with weight-bearing exercises. You know that saying, move it or lose it? Well, did you know that astronauts can lose between 1 to 2% of their bone density for every month they spend in space? That's what happens when there's no gravity and your skeletal system doesn't need to waste any energy holding you upright. Remember earlier when we said that having a low body weight is a risk factor for osteoporosis? Well, by increasing your muscle mass with weight-bearing exercises, your bones will be stimulated to stay strong. What exactly are weight-bearing exercises? Just what it sounds like. Any movement that puts a compression force through the bone. Walking is probably the easiest example of a weight-bearing exercise for the lower body. But if you add a weighted vest and Nordic pulls, you'll increase the weight-bearing opportunity in your upper back and arms. Other weight-bearing exercises are push-ups, squats, stairs, and planks. Avoid high-impact exercises like jumping or aerobics, as well as extreme bending and twisting, because those movements involve faster, uncontrolled, and torsional forces that are harder for fragile bones to withstand. Number 5, try Tai Chi. Tai Chi is a form of gentle, graceful, flowing exercise that can help you improve your flexibility, balance, and core strength. As a bonus, the mind-body connection and learning of specific movement patterns can help boost age-related memory loss. Number 6, learn how to avoid falls. Be truthful about your balance. Have you fallen in the past year? Answering yes is one of the most important risk factors for predicting a future fall. Is your eyesight, hearing, or balance a factor? If so, get your eyes tested, renew your prescription, or get hearing aids. How about your medication? Are there any side effects like drowsiness, dizziness, weakness, or confusion? Any sensory problems with your lower legs, like pins and needles in the feet? Go over all your medications with your doctor to make sure they're still appropriate for you. How about external factors? There are some simple ways that you can fall-proof your home. Get rid of rugs. They're tripping hazards. One place that might benefit from a runner, though, is the stairs. A stair runner that is properly secured can help you avoid falling down the stairs. Keep your house bright. Change your bulbs to a 60-watt equivalent LED and make sure there are no dark corners. Consider always having a night light on in the bathroom and hallways. There are also motion detector lights that you can easily put on by your bedside. Install a grab bar in the shower, by the bathtub, and by the toilet. Put an anti-slip mat in the tub too while you're at it. Bathroom is the most dangerous place to fall because of all the hard, slippery surfaces. Bathrooms are usually small spaces and you're almost always guaranteed to hit your head somewhere. Wear supportive, non-skid lace-up running shoes inside the home. Avoid flip-flops and soft-soled slippers. If you live somewhere that has icing conditions in the winter, keep salt buckets beside the exterior doors, garage doors, and stairs. Install a railing for your front steps if you don't have one. And finally, although nobody really wants to admit it, perhaps it's time to use a cane or a walker. If you're unsure, speak to your physiotherapist for a walking aid assessment. They can also make sure it fits you properly and that you use it properly. Number 7, start a varied walking program to stimulate bone growth. This is best done with a partner for safety. Progress at a rate that is appropriate for your balance and fitness level. First, start with a warm-up where you will gradually increase your pace. Then practice walking forwards on a flat surface like a bike path for 5 minutes. Next, walk sideways for 5 minutes. Switch to the other side for 5 minutes. Then backwards for 5 minutes. Next, vary your terrain. Try walking on uneven grass and up and down hills. Vary your speed and the length of your strides. Also, try walking with one foot in front of the other like you're on a balance beam, forwards and backwards. And finally, finish off with a leisurely cool down. Our walking speed is another predictor of how long we'll live. So daily walks, outdoors if possible, are an excellent health promotion strategy. Number 8, practice getting up and down from the floor at least once every day. Did you know that your ability to get up from the floor without holding on to anything is one of a handful of physical tests that is a predictor of how long you'll live? Are you able to get up from the floor without assistance or without holding onto furniture? Assuming you don't have major knee arthritis, you can practice deep, full squats, getting into a 4-point tabletop position and kneeling on one knee to strengthen your core and leg muscles. Number 9, improve your balance. As we get older, our depth perception, reflexes, and balance tend to worsen ever so gradually. Try standing on one foot. Can you do it? Now try closing your eyes while standing on one foot. Chances are you're not as steady as you once were. So you may be thinking, when would I ever have to stand on one foot with my eyes closed? Well, how about when it's dark outside and you're climbing up the front steps of an unfamiliar home or restaurant? Have you ever had to quickly get out of bed to go to the washroom? That's when the chances of falling are the highest. So practice your balance daily. If you fall, you'll be ready and hopefully won't injure yourself too badly. Start balance training by standing on one leg. Work up to holding that pose for 30 seconds. Then stand with one foot in front of the other. Switch feet. Hold for 30 seconds. Next, try practicing your dynamic balance. That refers to the ability to maintain your balance while moving. Practice this by standing on one foot to cook and doing light cleaning. Do be cautious here if you find you're bending too much at the spine. Also, consider using your non-dominant hand for everyday activities like eating, dressing, and chores. Your non-dominant hand also needs to be fast and coordinated if you fall. Number 10. Did you know that stress could cause bone loss? As if the stress itself wasn't bad enough, osteoporosis is another serious health consequence to a high-stress lifestyle. When we experience stress from the usual culprits like work, family, and finances, our bodies release the hormone cortisol. To counteract the effects of too much cortisol, our bones release calcium to mitigate the damage. Of course, if we have chronic stress over months or years, our bones may not be able to regain that calcium back, and then our bone health suffers. Check out some of our videos on how to decrease stress and anxiety naturally. And finally, number 11, the last and easiest way to help your bones get stronger: sleep. Remember, our bodies repair when we regularly get a good night's sleep. Check out some of the videos we have on how to get to sleep faster. If you have some great osteoporosis suggestions that have helped you, I'd really appreciate it if you could share them down below in the comment section so that we can all benefit in our personal journey to better health. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any health how-to videos where we talk about easy ways to improve your health. Also, please press that like button because it can really help get this information to those that need it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.